Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sideline Eye podcast. We're here with Paddy Savage and Aaron Kernan as we're looking back on Armagh's 13-point win over Antrim that started the Ulster Championship campaign for 2021. Um, Paddy, I'll bring you in here to start. 13-point win, as we say. It's strange to probably feel a wee bit disappointed in the performance after coming away with such an emphatic victory.
Yeah, look, you're it's a lot better to get the win after maybe wouldn't say mediocre performance, but a performance that was maybe flat or slow to start, than say, for example, if you take that Tyrone game where we thought we played really well but we got beat. So look, that's the big thing with the championship is getting into the next round. They did that. There weren't really many stages within the second half. Well, certainly once that second goal went in, that we ever looked in massive trouble. So plenty to work on surely, but relatively comfortable win, and I think it was. The whole game probably, and really the whole championship so far, to a large extent, Sean, with only a couple of exceptions, has been a bit of an indictment of the structures that we have in the game. Now, I know we're not going to want to go down that particular rabbit hole again on this podcast, but like it has been, in terms of the football championship, it has been a bit of a disaster, to be honest. That there's just been so many one-sided games, and we've got a position where we're in a short championship anyway. We've had 2 weekends of it, and just very very little. In the in the way of exciting, close, tough games between well matched teams. But look, that's a separate argument, and all Armagh could do was beat what put in front of them, and most in front of them was a good team who were doing their best. That'll be well fit, you'd imagine, for Division 3 football next year. But there was still just that gap in quality that shone through towards the end.
Yeah, and that's obviously what got Armagh over the line in the end. Like there was you could tell maybe in the last 20 minutes or so the gap between Antrim and Armagh. But aren't you impressed with Antrim? Probably the scoreline didn't do them justice of how they played. They set up really well. Enda McGinley has them going well, as we know. They come into the game on a 4-game winning streak. The scoreline didn't do them justice. They were a lot closer than 13 points.
Yeah, to be fair to them, they were. I think you could see maybe the annoyance in Enda McGinley in the interview after the game. He felt his side had done so much well. But I suppose it was an honest appraisal from him in terms of that he felt that that's the difference in the step up in quality. They wouldn't have been punished that badly in Division 4. But I would have to give them an awful lot of credit. Yes, there's plenty of Armagh to work on, but delighted that they got the win. But in terms of what Antrim did, I have to say I was very impressed with them from a team coming out from Division 4. Generally, the template this past 10 years has been dour struggles, lots of people behind the ball, no outlet for them to foot pass it. But I thought yesterday at times in the first half, the play was end to end. The quality at certain stages, particularly what stood out for them was that their ability to build the ball up the wings. But they had Oran Eastwood predominantly, hogging right in the ground, right in front of Blaine Hughes, which gives them an outlet to foot pass into a dangerous area and have their pacey runners coming off the shoulder and kicking scores. Like McBride, the Murrays, they all chipped in with some really good scores, from either side of the Deidres and side the 21. And that gave them huge confidence, got their bit of support behind them. But in fairness to Armagh, again, while we can talk about plenty to improve on, they won the game. They won it well. They were very ruthless with the goal opportunities that they had. But I just think most importantly, they never looked phased or panicked, and I think we just have to think back, a few years where games like that against Cavan or against Fermanagh, teams who we thought we were going to be beat, teams who we probably felt we had better players than, you visibly could nearly see the panic setting into the team whenever it didn't get off to the start that we wanted, and we couldn't turn them games around. Where yesterday, I felt that we just looked much more controlled, much more composed, and like I said, whenever the dangerous opportunities popped themselves up, we were ruthless. And he said that's the difference now between your Division 1 teams and your Division 4. And for me, that's a huge positive in where Armagh have come this past 7 or 8 years.
And Oren, is that, I know that they'd only played 4 Division 1 games this year. Is that part of the reason why they're more comfortable in these games, that they didn't panic, that they were able to come out in the second half? And although they were winning at half time, it was really a 50-50 game. Rory Grugan's goal sort of put them ahead at half time, and we'll talk about Blaine's save that would have seen Antrim go in at half time. But Armagh come out in the second half and blitzed Antrim after the penalty. Is that experience in Division 1 helping, that they're not worrying, they're sticking, as the Dubs usually talk about the process, they're sticking to the process, they know their game plan, and they've fully trust in it?
Absolutely. Like, again, all I do, I'm sitting watching them games, and you can't help but put your player's hat on, and try and draw back and what I would have been feeling, had I been in those player circumstances. And, the one thing that I would have felt is the self-belief, and we have spoken about this, the self-belief that they will have had from what's after happening in the league this past few weeks will have done that the Armagh team, the utmost in helping them to bring them along, because the best will in the world, all the training and that there that you want to do. And last year, even, we were going well in Division 1. We had game promotion. We just didn't seem to have the real steely self-belief that nothing was going to, change our thinking in the championship. Like, I felt we left Derry in it too long. I felt we were just completely flat and got steamrolled by Donegal. And it's remarkable the difference that there is now in 6 months. And the league campaign that we had, the consistency of performance that we had, I can guarantee you, if you ask them anyways, hand on heart, they'll probably not tell you in person or face to face if you're talking on a podcast, but the self-belief they'll now have from just 2 months ago that they are fit for this level, that they belong at this level, and that there's even more that they can improve. And I guarantee you, hand on heart, every one of them will have grown massively in their own personal belief and in their group, and in terms of players, managers, and that there. And just the likes of that there is what helps you get through yesterday. You have to be in those situations to learn from them, and that's why everyone always says you need to be up with the big teams where you learn. And Armagh absolutely have done. Everything in terms of even the pace that they can then play at, they can lift it up to. That all stems from being exposed to playing against the top teams, the best teams, and learning what level you can take yourself to. So for me, Division 1 and what the boys have achieved and how they had improved over this past few weeks is really, that's the big difference between how we dealt with what we faced yesterday and compared to what has happened whenever we faced those situations this past 6-7 years.
And Paddy, what we did face in the first half was Antrim, a team full of confidence, and Armagh, I felt at times, sat back and maybe allowed Antrim to attack them, and maybe that helped and build confidence for Antrim. What were your thoughts in that first half? I know it's, when we're talking about Armagh not playing well, it's probably the first half we're talking about, because they come out and they scored, I think it was it 3-5 or 3-6 maybe in the second half, more, 3-8 maybe, I think it was, in that second half. So it was the first half really that they weren't impressive. What were your feelings? Were you concerned at half time is maybe the best question to ask?
I don't think I was concerned that we weren't going to win the game at half time. You were concerned that they weren't playing particularly well, but sometimes that just happens. Or, well, not that it just happens, but you're not going to, over the course of a season, you're not going to put together really good performances at all times. There's times when performance levels dip. We talked a bit with Jim in the preview podcast, and Jim was very much saying, look, from management, the focus will be on Antrim, and this is a game there'll be no room for complacency. But it'd be interesting to hear sort of Aaron's thoughts on going into games like that. But it just struck me that that the build up to those Roscommon game, the last 3 or 4 games, everyone's been talking how important these are, and we need to get up to this level. And we got that win against Monaghan, and then every game after that, you're thinking, if we get the win, if we got a win against Donegal, win against Tyrone, or turned out we actually got it against Roscommon, that'll be us in Division 1, and that'll be so important. And having to try and raise your level up to that Division 1, and then suddenly you're playing a game, a more important game in the sense that it was a championship match and your season was on the line, but a game you're expected to win, and expected to win convincingly. And it's just a different mentality, going into that. And I suppose, again, Aaron, from a player's perspective, will probably have a far better insight than I would. But I imagine it's difficult, Aaron, to go, from that, those different mindsets and different tests, and you're gonna maybe not get caught out, but you're gonna maybe take a wee while to react in some games.
It is, like, to be fair, I suppose your mindset, as much as Kieran and the backroom team can harp on, how focused we need to be, it is difficult in that the window of opportunity that management have with players is actually quite small. You could be talking 6 to 8 hours a week where they basically have their in their own bubble. Other than that, if you're walking around the streets of Armagh, Crossmaglen, Lurgan, wherever you are, everybody's saying it's only Antrim. They're Division 4, we're Division 1, we should be winning this game handy. So it is difficult, and as a player, you do try to block yourself out. You try not to listen to it. You try to, prepare as best as you possibly can. But just look at Dublin yesterday, the ultimate team in terms of how they prepare, how ruthless they are, the respect they give all opposition. Even they can have an off day at some stage. They only kicked 15 points against the Wexford team that struggled so badly in Division 4. That's another learning curve for this Armagh team. Again, this past 7-8 years, we've never really dealt that well with being favourites. Favourites tags hasn't sat well with us. So to win yesterday, like you said at the very start, Patrick, not playing overly well, having so much to work with, but to be able to comfortably get a win, again, it's a positive sign. But it's something now that has to really change, and I don't even think management need have to say a huge pile. Like we're going up a couple of notches now. The Monaghan team that we played, even at the start of the National League compared to now, it's going to be night and day. You're talking about two counties now who know they have genuine shot. This is a probably 50-50 game of making an Ulster final, and a one-off shot in an Ulster final. You never know what's going to happen. So the next 2 weeks, I don't think management's going to have to do a huge pile in terms of mental preparation or getting boys up for this game. The banana skin's over us. Now it's an opportunity that I think this Armagh team have been waiting for since the Cavan replay 2 years ago, whenever we probably realistically let slip a brilliant opportunity to get back to our first Ulster final since 2008.
And Aaron, talk us through tactics for a minute. We've seen Armagh launching the high ball in a couple of times, and I know Oisin McConville was on BBC and he likes the idea of that. And I know that's sort of maybe the Crossmaglen way of getting the ball up into the attackers as soon as possible. What did you think? It was a tactic that they used. Rain, Andrew Myrne, and Charlie O'Burns. Sometimes the three of them, sometimes all in the box, and Armagh would have launched the high ball in. I'm sure you like the idea of it, but is it just sometimes the execution of the actual kick pass that let them down?
It is. I'd say again, I would have to agree with Oisin in terms of I do like the idea of it. But I suppose most importantly, never mind what we think, our county manager Kieran, he was saying after the game that he wasn't that happy with it, that he thought it was forced, and I can see where he's coming from. And so I probably have my foot in both camps here in terms of I like the idea of getting the ball in good and early to people with the ball winning ability of Andrew and Ray and Charlie Oak, those boys. Just I would have felt that. I'm trying to think offhand. I remember Jamar had one, maybe Grugs, Oisin O'Neill. I think Oisin O'Neill could have hit one nearly from air defensive 65. For me, those balls, I think if they're going in, they need to be from or attacking 65, maybe closer to the attacking 45-meter line, because the longer the delivery, the more opportunity it gives. It becomes sort of predictable for defence to read. I know myself, if I'm playing on a half-back line and I can see somebody like that ball is going to be a booming kick off the outside of your boot. You can read somebody's body language in terms of what they're going to do there. So as a half-back, I'll drop off my man who might be in the 45 and start heading back in towards the full-back line, hoping to pick up a break or some scraps on the ground. So I like get it in as early as possible, but to not be predictable, and to make it easier to fetch. Like if a ball's coming from that distance, it's just so hard to read where exactly it's going to drop. I think that there's tweaks can be made to it, but I still like the idea, given the hands that we have, particularly in Andrew. Like he has hands like I probably don't know another full forward playing the game at county level even at the moment. He was the ball winning ability of him, so it'd be a shame not to try a few of them into him. But I think it's something that we can improve on. And I think Geezer was brilliant at those long deliveries. Kieran Donaghy was excellent at fetching them. So I think between the two of them, they'll find some sort of a compromise that will start getting a few scores off them. But for me, what really stood out was, and I know from doing a bit of work for TV just for the National League, I felt that there was opportunities for us to create more goal opportunities. I felt that particularly once we were around the 45-metre line, that we weren't looking inside quick enough or often enough, and I felt sometimes we weren't moving enough on the inside in terms of taking defenders one way and doubling back. And 3 of the goals that we got yesterday all come from that. Were Grugs, Tiernan Kelly, Conor Turbot. Their movement inside was excellent, and even Oisin O'Neill give a good fist pass through where, and it's not like Rory, he pulled one just wide of the post in the first half. That all came from players playing with the head up out the field, but excellent movement inside. And again, that's the difference between your Division 1 teams and your Division 2, 3 and 4 teams. That ability to see goal opportunities and that ability to create that space inside. And again, I think that's another massive improvement that Armagh have made in the space of about 6 or 8 weeks.
No, Sean, just to pick up on Aaron's point there, the first goal we scored, if you go back and look at the highlights, it's just a perfect illustration of that. Staffan plays the ball in, he's about 40 metres out, he's playing a relatively short pass, and he's playing it to Rory Grugan, who's got sort of 10 metres of space to his left, to his right, and in front of him. It's never, that ball's always going to be, when it's played by Staffan, it's always going to be a 1v1 for Rory right in front of goal. So there's the positives to take from yesterday, that Armagh were able to, well, one, carve out those opportunities, and 2, take them. Because it's not, I don't think we've scored 4 goals in championship matches even back in the glory days. I don't think we've done it that often. So maybe somebody else would have the stats on it, but it's definitely not a regular occurrence. So that was great to see.
So, sorry, Sean, I would agree with that there, Paddy. Like, if you're sitting at home the same as I was, like, you couldn't but be excited by that there. Just what they're thinking at that stage is danger, goal. That's a ruthless thought, and that's not one player thinking that. That was I'd say it was just eye contact. Was made between Soupy and Rory there, and you have the goal opportunity. And similarly, like I said, the one that Rory then misses just after it again, you can see where he's taking his man towards the stand side, but he's pointing inside to Oisin. He's showing him where I want this ball to go. Again, they're thinking, put this game to bed. And again, that I love seeing that there. I love seeing that there ruthless streak, where boys are thinking, what's the maximum I can out of this? Not, can I fist the ball to someone? Can I keep possession? Can we chip a point here? They're thinking goals. And that's the type of thing that you'll see Dublin doing, your Kerrys doing, your top teams. That's the way they think. And that was, as you said, Paddy, it was brilliant to watch.
I suppose the Turbo goal as well, Aaron, we seen that as well. It reminded me of Turbo's goal against Tyrone in the league. The one Ryan O'Neill hit the excellent kick pass. He was coming out for the ball and done that. I suppose it's the Con O'Callaghan turn now. He's coming towards the ball and just in a split second turns and he's in behind the defender. And it was rain against Tyrone. It was Jamar on Sunday. Just putting that wee loop ball in behind, and the Antrim defender actually done very well to get back. But Turbo, it was the exact same. He dummied on his left, I think, again Tyrone. He dummied on his right this time. It's them wee runs in behind. It was something similar with Rory's movement for the goal he missed. I think it was actually better movement than the one he scored. Getting in behind and creating them goal chances is, as you say, so positive and so exciting.
It is, and that's the word, is exciting, because that's what everyone goes to see. Goals, people taking risks, and that's not happening by chance. That's something that they're working on in training, and that's something that they're being coached to do. And again, I just keep harping back to it. That's the root of the streak that comes with being a top team, or comes whenever your self-belief is growing. And that's why I say I'm excited whenever I see that Armagh team doing that there, because they're growing. They're growing in personality. They're growing as a group. And for all of us as supporters, it's exciting to see them going out and express themselves in that way.
Yeah, and you see, just in that Turbot goal, like, just the one other thing I'd mention is the weight of the pass from Jamar Hall was just perfect. Because if he overhits that, he had a relatively small space to hit that into, because if he overhits it, it'll be into the goalkeeper's arms, and then if he underhits it, he doesn't. It wouldn't be a goal chance. But it was just a brilliant ball. So fair play on that, and there was a few different examples of that over the course of the game.
And I suppose, Aaron, it's good that Armagh can mix that up, that they have this long ball tactic that we're talking about, that the likes of Andrew or Rian or Oshin or whoever it's going to be inside, you can use that. That's always a backup option. And then you have the forwards, the likes of a Turbo or Rory Grugan, that can create that space inside and have that movement inside. It gives defenders something to think about, that we're not one-dimensional, that there is so much that we can do going forward that it's very hard to defend against and hard to mark.
It does, and again, here I can completely see where Kieran's coming from, talking, directly after the game, that maybe was going a wee bit off the game plan in terms of how long out the ball was being delivered in the first half. But it's just what you say, Armagh aren't predictable then. So if the ball's going to come in front all the time continuously, defenders are smart now. They're cute. They'll stand in front. They could stand 10, 15 yards in front. And as the ball comes further up the field, they'll start getting closer to their man. But if you get to a situation where one or two of them there long balls is going in, Andrew's catching it, Rian's coming off a shoulder, he's putting in the back of the net, or he's tapping it over the bar, you're making defenders think then they can't afford to stand out in front of you. They have to come back and stand shoulder to shoulder. Then we have the opportunity to pop the ball in front. The same boys can win it, shoot themselves, or you have runners coming off the shoulder. So it becomes a defender's nightmare then, where they don't know what they're doing. You're having them thinking all the time, which means Armagh are the ones in control. They're the ones dictating the play. They're the ones dictating the style of play. And again, I keep harping, that's what the top teams do. They're the ones who take control of the game and play on their own terms. So that's why it's very important for me that we always have that ability to mix it up, and we always have that confidence to back ourselves for it to come off. Go back to Patrick's point there a minute ago about Jamar's volley. It was so easy not to give that ball. He could have fisted it off. He could have picked an easier foot pass. He could have sold it and tried a shot himself. But he was thinking danger. He was thinking, I can see something happening here. But so was Conor Turbot. And again, that's a huge positive where you have boys starting to think on the same page, on the same wavelength. And again, it just shows the development of where this team is going, and what their belief is. So for me, I think we can get better. I wouldn't ditch the long ball. I wouldn't have it that we're just not going to try this at all anymore. If that comes off once or twice, maybe opposition teams start dropping a few more men deeper, towards their 21 or in closer to the inside of the D. That affords the likes of our runners to come up the field in terms of your Oshin, Nail, Grimley's, Soupy and these boys. Then they start chipping over more points from further out the field. And it has the opposition then that they don't know what to do. They don't know, do we drop back and cover Morning and Rain? Do we push out on these runners who are coming and kicking points from distance? But again, that's Armagh in control. They're playing whatever style they want to play, and they're playing it on their own terms. So the positive for me is we have the ability to mix and match however we feel fit. And I suppose it's a while since that's been the case, but long may it continue.
And I think we spoke about Aaron, and you sort of touched on it there. I think we had 10 different scores, I think, yesterday, 9 or 10 different scores, 3 of which were defenders, and then obviously you had Paddy Burns coming on to claim a mark as well. Paddy, that's another huge positive, that if you're going into a game and you have 10, obviously, Rian, Soupy, Rory are the main scorers, but if you have boys coming from every angle, every position, fit to kick a point, like that's going to cause serious headaches for Monaghan and hopefully whoever else we meet in the championship.
Yeah, definitely, because the thing is, teams will try to prepare for the most dangerous forwards, the likes of, Stephen Campbell, Ryan O'Neill, Rory, and all the others. But where if they're getting bottled up, and you've maybe runners coming from deep, able to kick the score. Kieran O'Hanlon got right forward and kicked a really good point, just perfect, perfect scoring position, edge of the D, early in the first half. So yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant to have. It's a fantastic asset. And yeah, look, 10 scorers is really, really impressive. Like, if I think it was maybe only, nobody scored more than three times from play. Rory got 1-2. Jardy O got 2 scores, and as the Turbot, and all the other scores from play were just equally shared out amongst the rest of the team. So yeah, really good, and hopefully it keeps going like that. If we get 10 scores on the board against Monaghan, will be very, very hard to beat.
I suppose we'll have to talk about Blaine Hughes as well. He picked up the Man of the Match award, and I think his save was crucial in the first half. The turning point probably came with the penalty. It was the first time Armagh had really pulled away from Antrim. I think that put them 6 points clear. But this save, it was in the 27th minute, I think, of the first half. At the time, Armagh were winning 1-5 till 0-6. This goal would have put Antrim ahead and could have most likely put them ahead at half time, which would obviously give them confidence coming out in the second half. Aaron, you played with Paul Hurdy. Obviously, he was first name on the team sheet of club and county for years. What's it like as a defender that you have such trust in your keeper behind you? That Blaine, I think he lost one kick out on Sunday. He made a fantastic save. There was one time he came out nearly as a sweeper keeper out in front of Oran Eastwood to win the ball. How much confidence does that give you as a defender if you can trust your goalkeeper?
It's unbelievable. Whenever you know that you have a reliable set of hands behind you, someone who's calm and composed, that's your starting point for your defence. He's the one who's standing back. He's orchestrating everything. And again, I was fortunate that I got to some of the league games this year. His communication, he's not your I suppose what your traditional goalkeeper would have been. That's long since gone. Cluxton has fairly raised the bar, and everyone is trying their best to follow suit. But coming out off his lane whenever he's nothing to do with play, communicating, organising, making sure that we're defensively very well set up. He's excellent at that. But his composure on the ball, reading situations, like you say, particularly that long one that came in from Oran Eastwood. I think from memory it was maybe Aaron McKay was sort of in a wrestling match with him, and next thing Blaine Hughes comes shooting off the lane, pops past his shoulder, wins the ball, and we're back on the attack. And you see his reflexes for the save from McCann in the first half was top class, because it all happened very quickly. McCann was breaking through a couple of tackles and then got a snapshot off, but Blaine's reflexes to get a foot and to get it far enough away from the goal was top class. And you said his kickouts, his variation of his kickouts, were good. I know Antrim maybe give us too many short ones, and we weren't as successful in terms of what we won early. But I don't think a huge pile of that was down to him. He had a super game. If you're not winning clean balls, it's been put in your direction. The buck sort of stops with your midfielders and half forwards and half backs. But for me, again, Blaine takes, I'd say he takes a bit of stick, but you always hear a bit of cribbing and crying about him within the county. For me, he's the best goalkeeper within the county. He's the best that we have available to us. He has also grown in confidence in himself and competing at that there level. And yes, they will have brought him on no end again. And that's massively important. It gives him so much confidence, and it gives everyone in front of him huge confidence.
Paddy, I'm sure you're going to echo what Aaron said. As seen on BBC, that sort of talked about it. It was a concern for Kieran McGeeney that the man of the match was Blaine Hughes and none of the outfield players. But you can't take away from Blaine's performance. He done very well. As we say, only lost one kick out, made a couple of crucial saves, and he has been Armagh's #1 keeper now for 4 or 5 years, and he probably is one of the first names on the team sheet.
Yeah, like the important point that the really important point that Aaron made there is that he is the best in the county. Yes, look, has he made mistakes? Of course he has. And players will do that. Every player makes mistakes. It's just that when you're a goalkeeper, they tend to be emphasised because the consequences tend to be pretty dire. But look, from looking around Armagh club football and over the last few years, there's certainly not a really obvious other candidates that you would say no, he's definitely the person who should be number one. Blaine's there, he's in possession of the jersey, and like if he keeps up performances like he did yesterday, then he'll be there for a while yet, definitely.
And Aaron, just to finish up then, we sort of spoke at the start that maybe it wasn't the best performance for Armagh, but a 13-point win, you're going to take that every day of the week, even though if you're not playing well. There's lots to improve on there, but they've 2 weeks now to improve on them. I suppose what would be the main thing that you would be looking for in the next 2 weeks for Armagh to improve on, for taking on Monaghan in the semi-final? We've seen Monaghan were quite convincing winners over Fermanagh on Saturday evening. So what's the main thing you want Armagh to improve on heading into that game?
I suppose first and foremost, the massive area that there's room for improvement yesterday is our energy, and that will come from within, everywhere across the field whenever we don't have the ball. We did work some good scores, like I said, kick 4-15. So you can brush up on that, you can get better at that. But if we sit back and drop as deep as we did yesterday, regardless if we're only feeling ourselves into a game here or trying to find our feet, Monaghan will cause us serious issues, because McAnespie and Carl O'Connell in particular, the speed that they break at and the width that they come at, they're the whole way up the sideline, and as soon as they hit the opposition 45, they're cutting in off the wing at breakneck pace, passing a couple of weak shoulders, getting shots off themselves, popping balls over the top for McCarron, Conor McCarthy and these boys, and that's where goals are coming from. So at no stage can we not afford to be at the pitch of the game. Our energy levels, our work rate, our physicality all across the field. It can't be about matching Monaghan. It has to be a bit better in Monaghan. But I said that will come from within. Management can only do so much. Are our boys fit? Are they strong? Are they well coached? Yes. Management can't go out and play for us. It's up to the players to deliver that there themselves. I have no doubt they will, and they'll be delighted with yesterday to have got the win. But deep down and within their own circle, they'll be able to say to each other, that was not good enough. It's not what we expect from ourselves, and it's time for us to go and deliver, because for us to get to an Ulster final, that's what has to happen. And it's absolutely within them. It's not, there's no rocket science or something. It's not something that these guys can't do or that they haven't done before. But that's the big one for me. I think an awful lot of stuff will iron itself out and will improve over the next few weeks. But that's the mentality and the mindset, is we have to be the hunted going out the next day, or the hunters, going out. We have to be going out to play on our terms, at our pace, for the duration of the 70 plus minutes, because that's what it's going to take. It's been too long since we've been in an Ulster final. We have an absolutely brilliant opportunity to get there. I believe we have the ability to get there. Everything is going in the right direction, but it's up to the boys to deliver.
It's definitely one we're going to look forward to, and it's big 2 weeks ahead for Armagh. And just before we finish up, huge congratulations to the Armagh ladies and the Armagh Camogues, who reached the Ulster finals over the weekend. The ladies beat Tyrone on Friday evening, while on Sunday the Camogues beat Cavan to reach the Ulster finals. So huge congratulations to them. And we'll now hear from one of the Armagh goal scorers, Rory Grugan, who was essential in getting Armagh over the line yesterday and done an exclusive interview with us after the game. So we'll hear from Rory now and get his thoughts after the game. Just to finish up, thanks Paddy and thanks Aaron for coming on and telling us your views of Armagh's opening round win against Antrim. So Rory, good to get off to a winning start. I suppose plenty of positives to take from the game, but stuff to improve on as well.
Yeah, I suppose that's not a bad way to come out of the game, frustrated winning. I think it was 13 points in the end, but still unhappy with a lot of elements of our performance. We were very sort of ponderous in the first half, giving silly balls away, not enough pace in their transition and stuff. It was just a bit frustrating, and Antrim were staying with us and they were controlling the game very well, to be fair to them, and picking off their points. And there was a few choice words at half time to get us going again, and to be honest, we were a lot better then in the second half. The goals sort of gave us that wee bit of cushion.
Oh, would you put that down to? Was there nerves maybe for the first round of the championship, or what would you put that down to?
I don't know. I don't know about the nerves. I suppose not much different than any other league game and stuff. Obviously, you have to just get yourself up for it. And I just think when you're giving the ball away and then starting to chase them, and then Antrim were keeping it for so long. I think their first attack, they kept the ball for 3.5 minutes or something before working a free for a score. It can suck the life out of you, and then you're trying things, giving it away. It all kind of snowballed a wee bit in the first half. So it's just about trying to settle it down, get an easy score, and kind of build from there. And we kind of just weren't really doing that in the first half.
And what was the difference then? You were 2 points up at half time, and then, as you say, went on to win by 13.
Yeah, I think a wee bit more magic on our play in the second half, up the slight hill and a bit of a breeze. We kept the ball a wee bit better, worked it in the right areas, got the right men on the ball for the shots. And then when the goal chances came, we were more clinical. Just that really, that was the main difference.
And your goal, Rory, I was just double checking me off, or I thought it was your first goal in the Ulster Championship.
Yeah, a long time coming now. It was a good ball in. I can't remember who popped it into me, but the way it works, you're just thinking about the one that I missed. Should have had another one.
Oh, what did you think of the one you missed? Was it you tried to place it too much, or?
Yeah, I thought it was central to the goal and it was more left. And you're probably right. I was probably trying to be too perfection with it instead of just whacking it.
And what about the next day now, Rory? We know he's playing Monaghan in 2 weeks' time. I'm not sure if venue or dates have sorted yet. Monaghan, obviously an experienced Division 1 team. You've met them in the first round of the league and beat them. They haven't been beat since, so it's going to be a tough game.
Okay, we know that's going to be a massive step up for us, and back to Division 1 level, which we have been playing. Like you say, their form has really lifted since that day we played them, and it's going to be a serious battle. We have to improve so much of what we're doing there in terms of opposition kickouts and the stuff we were giving away in attack and stuff, and even then the odd goal chance that Antrim got too, so lots to improve on, but it's where you want to be in a big 2 weeks to get ready. And
just to finish up, Rory, obviously the crowd in today, there was 17,000 people in Athletic Grounds, and improved from the 500 that it was supposed to be on Thursday or Friday night. I think it was changed. What was it like coming running out with the cheer then? A bit of a change from what it had been in the league?
Yeah, obviously it was a boost to have 500 during the league, which is great, but then again there was a notable difference sort of in the noise today coming out, and the fact that they were spread around the ground and all, that it wasn't just the main stand. It felt like sort of Championship Day again. The only thing missing maybe was the parade and stuff that really gets you going for a Championship Day, but it's always great to have the crowds back, and especially in the Athletic Grounds. Armagh supporters have always been brilliant and very noisy, so great to have them back.
Good man, Rory. Thank you for coming on.
Cheers.